everyone, Jess here, and today I'm joined with Jason Ward. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yes, thank you. Great.
It's great to have you. So, firstly, do passenger preferences align with your goals as an airline, or is it a case of balancing one against the other?
Yeah. Well, I think, customers, they want and they need attention. So what we look for is great customer service, and how can the digitalization, how can technology help us in doing that? We don't want we don't want technology to replace our crew members. The customers don't want it to replace our crew members, but it wants to be there as a support tool to allow them to do their job better. And the things that are simple, they want the technology to do that as well.
Absolutely. And do you see, is it sort of across the board, or do you see different segments with different expectations and different requests from you?
Yeah, it's interesting because, I was talking to our CEO the other day, and it's like, as we look at our lobby at our main hub, who's in line, they're not the people that are paying the highest fares. And so there's a little bit of a discrepancy there as to where, people with maybe with more resources have the technology and have the means to then do self-service. It's not always the case, but it is something that we see, that obviously the people who are usually in lines and are willing to sit in line longer, the people that are purchasing the advanced purchase fares and that as well.
That's a really interesting observation.
Yeah.
And when it comes to internal culture, how important is having this real culture of innovation for implementing new strategies and initiatives?
Yeah. Well, I think, you have to, I've been in the airline business for 33 years, and it's interesting because there's some things that have not changed. You still need to go to an airport, you still have to go through security, you still have to have something to board the plane. And so there's things about aviation that has not changed and probably won't change, at least in my lifetime. But there are many things also that can change. And so what I see is also the people that are at the airlines have to be willing to change. So what we focus on is change management within our leadership team, so that we are open. And I think people that are looking at airlines as customers, is they have to understand that the company is made up of different generations, different thoughts and cultures. And so how do we make sure that we're not approaching technology as a threat to the people and their jobs, just like with the customer. So it's about education, transparency, and showing how it's going to assist and augment what we already offer to our customers.
And on the same lines of people and jobs, how would you characterize the current talent landscape for the industry?
Yeah, I think new generation is obviously much more apt and willing to test and to do things, and to, I remember my generation, my parents' generation, they were very, very scared to touch computers, and nowadays, these people, it's just part of who they are in their lives. It's as natural for them as it is for me to ride a bike. But I think that's where we have to embrace the new generation. We have to embrace these new technologies and find out where is it going to fit in to our current customer journey. And as I said earlier too, the customer journey is no longer linear. It's a cyclical, it's a cycle of just constant ongoing customer journey and touch points. And one of the focus we have is to stay connected. So how do our customers stay connected to us, even when they're not even, maybe they don't even have a flight planned, a reservation booked, but they're using our credit card, they're part of our club, they're using our cargo services. So that's how do we make sure that ecosystem of the customer is an ongoing process as well.
Absolutely. And if we look maybe 5 or 10 years into the future, what do you think are going to be the key technologies that everyone's still going to be using?
Yeah, well, I always say whoever can come up with a solution to the boarding process, that's going to be huge. You've got different ways of boarding the plane, but if we can come up with a kind of a boarding with no sounds, with no announcements, just a quiet boarding process that's all done through push notifications, whatever it may be. But I think that to me is going to be the biggest changer in the airline business.
Absolutely, and I guess how you're explaining that could relate to the personalization of the experience as well, that real personal touch between the airline and the customer.
I think a lot of this stuff is about experience as well. You talk to whether it's the airlines looking at who does a great customer experience, who does a great employee experience. Also with the marketing, with the research, I think there's companies out there doing a phenomenal job. Airlines are doing an amazing job. But I think more and more we're looking at experiences. And an airline is not about the experience per se, it's about the destination. You know, you getting to where you need to be as soon as you possibly can with no hassle. So how do we as the airline, or how do the airports, you know, I think that's a key point too, is how do we join together as partners and make it so where it's a good journey, or it's a good experience. And how do we not compete? How do airlines and airports come together? So also these technology companies ensuring that you're looking at the whole picture and not just trying to sell to an airport or sell to an airport. How do you solve problems? I think that's where the most success can be had.
Absolutely. And then if we think about the event in general, how important is this to catalyze innovation within the industry?
Yeah, I think it's good to see people. I mean, I'm still a big believer in the networking. I think that people who are out and about, you know, making the connections, seeing, exploring, you know, listening to the people, seeing what you may have a solution already in place, but talking to people and hearing what's out there, I think that broadens your horizons and sees what, you know, helps you to see what is out there. And these events bring us all together and bring the people that are decision makers or can at least influence the decision of the company as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining me today and
Yeah,
sharing your insights.
it's been a pleasure. Thank you.